Welcome to another episode of Live from the Wish House with me, Chris Spinner. If you're a regular, welcome back. And if it's your first time, I'm so happy you're joining us. My path profoundly changed when my son was diagnosed with autism. My marriage collapsed, and I had to develop my own Cris-losophies to navigate and thrive. I'm here to connect with you, to share and learn, and together we can create the life you love to live. Please subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and stories. And as promised in the last podcast, we're diving into some practical tips for getting yourself a windshield mentality as opposed to a rearview mirror mentality. So if you haven't listened to that last podcast, I suggest you go do that. I gave some scenarios, reasons, ideas as to why it feels so comfortable to look in that rearview mirror and get lost in what we've left behind. So let's begin with the quote that started the conversation. The windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror because where we are going is far more important than where we have been. It sure is lovely to move back into what we've already experienced and experience it again in our mind. There's something unusually comforting to know how the story is going to end. You know, there's a recent study that says it's very comforting for anxious people to watch the same movie or the same television series over and over for that very reason. We know what's coming. We know what's coming in that story. There's no twists. There's no turns. There's no surprises. We know the ending. But after a while, isn't that stagnating and, dare I say, boring? Aren't you bored? Do you have any idea how much time is in front of you? Really, there is so much time. Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute because I can hear the naysayers saying, well, that's just a point. We don't know how much time we have in front of us. It could all end tomorrow. True, we really don't know the future. But as I've said before here in Chrislandia, if you've got to make up a story, why not make up the positive one? Instead of thinking nobody knows how much time we have and that's a bad thing because there's probably not a lot of time ahead, why not reframe and say, there's all of this time ahead of us and it's all there for the taking. I always use age 100 as my end goal. So if you're 20, you got 80 years. If you're 40, you got 60. If you're 60, you got 40. And if you're 90, you got 10. There's still a lot of time with a lot of great stuff up ahead that's already there to see and stuff you're going to create. If you're still hanging on to your rear view or good old days mentality, remind yourself that Carly Simon said, these are the good old days. So the things that you're doing now are going to become the good old days when you're driving up in the future. And then you can kind of look back and it's a win-win. So how do we change our minds? How do we reframe? How do we do it? Well, I'm going to tell you what works for me. First, we're going to go cold turkey. No more romanticizing the past. Yes, there were good times. Yes, they're formative times. Yes, look at your pictures. Yes, get lost in the song that takes you back to your junior year of high school. Yes, people that aren't with us anymore are back there. And yes, you probably looked differently and maybe it was all in your mind, but you think you looked better. But Earth to you, none of that is real. It doesn't exist anymore. That place is like Brigadoon. It surfaces only at different times. And it surfaces in a morphed version of what it was. And it wasn't always that great. Just like every day in the present isn't always that great. It's life, and that's what it is. But the rear view is part of who you are today. It's part of a giant quilt. What's that Dolly Parton song, The Coat of Many Colors? It's part of the fabric of your coat of many colors. But that coat isn't finished. You could do it by framing up everything in your rearview mirror and hanging it on your wall. Or do what I do. literally put it in a digital frame. It's kind of fun to see the times of your life every day flashing by on your kitchen counter. But that's seriously where it belongs, on a consistent basis, flashing by on your kitchen counter while you're outside creating the new you. How do I do that, you ask? Well, second, think about what you want. Pick one thing. Sometimes if you pick more than one, it's very overwhelming. And make a commitment to yourself to get that thing, whatever it is, whether it's more reading, weight loss, get a new job, learn an instrument, go to the Zumba class, take the art course, to make everyday cooking for your family more fun, to visit your family more often, perhaps to recreate things that you loved when you were in that rear view, like Sunday family dinner or old-fashioned fun with the kids. Instead of saying it's not the same, push it forward and create it. Create it now. Create it in a new way. Create it with everything that you loved before. Carve out the time for it. Like, schedule it if you have to and stick to it. And while you're doing it, be in the moment. Don't allow your mind to go to other places. Envision what this is going to be like when it's done. For example, you're taking the art course. You've always wanted to be somebody who could sit in your garden and paint watercolors, but your first attempt at it wasn't that great. Don't give up. Look through the windshield and see what's up ahead. And what's up ahead is that vision. There you are, sitting in your garden. And it's another year. And you're painting the way you've always envisioned it, because you're going to get there. If you keep driving, you're going to get there. Don't stop the car and get lost in when you had that time to paint in 8th grade. You've got to remember that as a motivation for a few moments, go ahead, but get out there, look ahead, drive ahead. Practice being the girl who sits in the garden and paints the watercolors. Number 3, don't get yourself in a functional freeze. So what is a functional freeze? Have you ever heard of that? I'm going to tell you, it's a term I've recently come across, because prior to knowing this term, I thought it was procrastinating. So what I've come to understand is procrastinating is not doing something that you really want to do. It's something that you really don't want to do. But if we're in a functional freeze, that prevents us from doing things that we really do want to do. A functional freeze occurs when you're so overwhelmed that you can't seem to make the move to get anything done, whether it's the pleasant tasks or the creating of the ideas, or it's the unpleasant tasks. Functional freezes can be from trauma and great stress, but I'm not talking about big functional freezes. I'm talking about a smaller version. So I'm quickly going to tell you that in recent years, while my mom was still alive and in the nursing facility, I was in charge of all her estate, if you will, banking and bills, and whilst also being in charge of her daily living, calling the nurses' stations, making sure she had everything she needed, medications. I had a gray basket box on my table that was always filled with things that needed to be done for her, plus all the things that had to be done for me, plus all of the things that had to be done for my son, who you know has autism. And I would get up in the morning with a list of things to do, but I would find myself on the couch, sometimes scrolling, sometimes binging series I've seen 100 times, and sometimes literally just sitting there in silence, unable to get off the couch. And in all of those instances, I felt I was procrastinating getting my day on pilot. But it was then that I coincidentally found the term functional freeze. It literally fell across my page. I think the phone reads our minds. In any case, what I know is that if you're operating out of stress or fear, and for me, oftentimes, fear is a touch of the imposter syndrome, or like what Marianne Williams says, our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond all measure. It's a suggestion of, what if it all goes right? And what will I do with it? If it all goes right, what will I do? What if I step into the next sphere of happiness or success? Sometimes the biggest fear is not that we won't succeed, but that we will. And then who will we be? And that can be a source of a functional freeze as well. You can't wait to get to the task. You can't wait to get to the creation that you really want to do. But what's going to happen if I seize the day and I succeed? Who will I be if I take the art class and succeed? Will I be the person that has an art show? Who will I be if I go after that new job? Will I be the boss? Who will I be if I turn our family mealtime into something joyous and fun, maybe setting a formal table or cutting all the portions into animal shapes? Who will we be? Will I be a happy, comfortable mom? Believe it or not, all of those things are scary, and all of those things can keep us from driving forward, from looking straight ahead in the windshield. And it's all of those things that make us think, I need a break, I need a break. And we pull off the exit into the fast food line, which we know isn't good for us. Be courageous. Get out of that car when you pull into the truck stop and go get a salad in the fresh market instead. As the saying goes, throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sail. Go, play, have an attitude of explore, dream, discover, look through the windshield. Stay current. Ask one of your kids or your grandkids to suggest some new musical artists or a new series on a streaming platform. That's going to help you stay present. Find out some of the cool new expressions. It's not a matter of trying to stay young. It's a matter of trying to stay current. Part of the happening that is happening now. This past year, I fell in love with 3 or 4 new artists in the music field. And this past year, I watched the Grammys to the end for the first time in a long time. And you want to know a secret? I wasn't so interested in seeing all the vintage or the retro performers. I was all about seeing if Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso was going to win Song of the Year because I placed myself in the present. And where you place yourself is where you'll be. Life is moving and life is evolving. Don't miss the train. Look in the windshields. You want to see your life as one big, beautiful, intentional experience. But don't give yourself false hope that it's going to be great every day, because it's not. Your life experience is going to have everything in it. And I've come to realize if you escape something, it's probably just not for you. Not this time around anyway. We have to learn to embrace everything that's coming. Everything that's coming at us. And then we hit the rock we have to find our way through. Somehow remind yourself that you wouldn't have had what was if things weren't always unfolding. Old was never not new, right? Old was never not new. See yourself as the king or the queen of your own life's castle. Especially if you've made it this far. If you're aging, if you're 50 or 60 or 70s, wow, you've been through it all. You've seen so much change. That's why I'm not an age person. I never care about getting older. Number one, you can't stop that. But number two, I love the fact that there's so much behind me that I've seen and that's given me so much wisdom and that I still have the capacity to share that. Just keep imagining what's coming around the corner. Get excited for it. Did I inspire you a little? That was my intention. So now here's what you need to do. Go grab a bottle of Windex and clean off the windshield. Find Sabrina Carpenter on Spotify. Get in your car and roll down your windows and turn up the tune Espresso to the loudest volume you can tolerate. Then give a wink to your rearview mirror. say thank you to Carly Simon, and drive full speed ahead. I'm happy you're here with me at the Wish House. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments. I'd love to have your feedback and hear your story. If you've got something you want to get some Cris-losophy on, let me know in the comments. I'm Cris Spinner, and I'll see you next time at the Wish House.